everyone, and welcome to Real Life Struggles. Today's topic is addiction. Thankfully, this one isn't too personal for me. I'm not addicted to illegal drugs or anything that I'm going to confess here. I do require some coffee in the morning, so I guess there's a caffeine addiction. But anyway, I still thought it was a topic that probably a lot of people struggle with, and maybe somebody can watch this and find some help. First, let's define what is addiction. Maybe you're not even sure what that means. According to Merriam-Webster, addiction is a compulsive, chronic, psychological or physiological need for a habit-forming substance, behavior, or activity having harmful physical, psychological, or social effects, and typically causing well-defined symptoms such as anxiety, irritability, tremors, or nausea upon withdrawal or abstinence. It's not only drugs. You can become addicted to many other different things. Now that we know the definition of addiction, let's look at the different stages of addiction. It's not just something that either you have or you don't have. There's kind of a process. So the 5 stages. First is experimentation. I'll only try this once. That's something maybe you said. I know you see it in movies a lot, kind of a joke, but that's our first step. Regular use. So you've gone beyond, oh, I'll just try a joint, or oh, a little bit of this drug won't hurt me, to now you're using it on a regular basis. So during this stage, individuals will have incorporated their substance abuse into their everyday lives. And it doesn't have to be substance abuse. This, where I got this information, was speaking directly more along the illegal type of drugs, but it can be caffeine, it can be street racing, anything. Risky use. As an individual keeps using, you will notice significant changes in their behavior that will likely alarm you. At this point, you should work towards trying to discover ways to help them get treatment for their risky use before it escalates. They need treatment before it escalates. So with addiction, the sooner you can find help or find your friend help, the quicker and easier it can be to help it. Now we've come to the 3rd stage, dependence. By the time an individual grows dependent on their substance of choice, both their body and mind is reliant on the substances. During this stage, a loved one's use will result in serious behavioral changes that are obvious and dangerous. At this time, it is best if you can help your loved one by providing them substance abuse treatment options that can help end their dependency. So this is where we've gone from, oh, I'll just try it once, to you're trying it every day. Then we get into the risky use, where people start to change how they're behaving. Maybe they're getting violent. Maybe they're taking more risks to find what they want, going into bad parts of town, stuff like that. So when you get to dependence, they have to have it. It's not just, oh, I'm using it all the time, or that they're taking risks to get it. Now their mind and their body is saying, I need to have it, which leads us to addiction. The continuing abuse of substances will always lead to a drug or alcohol addiction, especially as all stages progress. When a drug or alcohol addiction finally develops, the only option for help is to change the behavior surrounding the abuse, which will only come from professional addiction. I'll leave some links with some information in the description about where to find help if you are addicted to something. Maybe you or one of your friends are suffering from some sort of addiction, and you can recognize that you or your friend has gone through the 5 stages that I just talked about. So what's next? So how do we treat an addiction? First step, admit there is a problem. How many times have you heard maybe somebody say it, maybe you've said it? You know, I can quit anytime I want to. Now, I don't have an addiction. I just like to do it. So your first step, you can't solve a problem if you don't admit there's a problem. The hardest part to recovery is admitting that you have an addiction. Substance abuse disorders affecting the brain, causing it to look for excuses and justifications to keep using. So once your body and mind become dependent on stuff, even if you're not thinking about it, you're going to start creating excuses for why there is no problem you should keep using. Number 2, reflect on your addiction. Take time to reflect on what is important to you, how addiction has negatively affected you, and how your life will improve with sobriety. So depending on the legality or illegality or how severe your addiction is, will give you an idea of what life will be like if you're not addicted. I mean, if we're talking hard drugs like heroin, cocaine, meth, those types of drugs really take over. I've known people who had addicts in their life that stole their kids' Christmas presents to buy more, and then would swear that they've changed and that they're not addicted to anything anymore, and then come find out, you know, they're still using and they're still stealing, and they're taking big risks in order to find their drugs. Seek professional help. So here, right down here, is a phone number that you can call. That's a national helpline for people that are addicted. There's probably plenty of places in your neighborhoods, places like churches, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, treatment centers. The thing with addiction is, once it gets really bad, it's actually quite dangerous to just try to quit cold turkey. You can have severe health problems if you just stop doing drugs or stop drinking alcohol. And maybe it's not going to work and you'll just slip back. I actually knew somebody who was so addicted to alcohol and hadn't eaten anything in over a year, I believe. He was supposed to go to a treatment center, and then he decided to quit cold turkey by himself a day or two before he was to go in. And his body was so addicted to alcohol that it actually shut down. And then when he went to the hospital and the doctors looked him over, they basically said there's no reason for him to be alive. You know, his vital signs are so low that a dead person would look better than he does. And he pulled through, which is amazing. But yes, seek professional help. So number 1, we've admitted that we have a problem. Number 2, we've thought about our addiction. Number 3, we have sought professional help. Number 4, appreciate the benefits of sobriety. So sober living helps you to regain the positive aspects of your life. So just think about it. What would change if you didn't have to worry about being addicted to something? You wouldn't have to spend so much money. You would probably have a better relationship with friends and family. You don't have to worry about lying about what you're doing or where you're going. So part of the problem with trying to break an addiction is it often can cause other problems. Some co-occurring disorders could be depression and anxiety, and those on their own are quite bad. I actually did a video about depression. It's not fun, and anxiety can rank right up there with things you don't want to have in your life. So by actively treating these aspects, people in recovery often find themselves enjoying a greater sense of freedom, improved mental and physical health, better financial stability. If you're not spending money on illegal drugs, that really helps. Healthier relationships with friends and family. You're not lying, you're not sneaking around. More time to spend on what truly matters to them. Number 6, identify your triggers. A trigger is something that causes an emotional reaction based on experience. As somebody who's dabbled with tobacco since I was a teenager, I can tell you that's quite true. You know, you decide enough's enough, and you're tired of smelling like smoke and not being able to run and spending $5-6, whatever it is now, a pack, and you decide to quit. and you're good for a month, 2 months, a year, however long, and then something happens and your go-to thing when you got frustrated used to be to light up a cigarette, and you tell yourself, oh, just like the first one, experimentation. You tell yourself, oh, just this one time to help with the stress, and so you buy yourself a pack of cigarettes, and then you buy yourself another pack of cigarettes, and you're back to smoking full time again. So definitely know your triggers and try not to let it trigger your past behavior. Some common triggers include stress, uncomfortable emotions, environmental cues. If you always went to the bar with your friends and lit up a cigarette, maybe it's time not to go there. You might have correlated going to the bar with having a cigarette, and it's hard to break. Mental or physical illness. Once we can identify these triggers, we can manage them by developing healthy coping skills. So if getting stressed makes you want to smoke or drink a beer or do drugs, then let's identify that and then figure out how can we do that. Maybe we go outside and take some deep breaths. Maybe you're into yoga or meditation. Change your environment. So I kind of said that before. If there's a certain place or thing that always makes you want to do what you're trying not to do, then let's not go there. Let's go somewhere else. When you quit drugs or alcohol but continue with the same routines or habits, the chances of relapsing are much higher. Support your recovery by avoiding people, places, and situations that trigger your urge to use. If your friends aren't your friends because you don't go to the bar and drink with them anymore, then they never really were your friends. They disliked you because you drank with them. A real friend, if you're trying to quit drinking, is not going to try to force you to go to the bar with them. They'll just have fun with you somewhere else. Trust me. Many changes will happen during recovery, including the way you deal with stress, who you spend time with, and what you do in your free time. Number 8, exercise. There's no depression buster as effective as for me than exercise, says mental health advocate Therese J. Bouchard. Not only will you improve your overall health and well-being while working up a sweat, but you'll also feel endorphins being released naturally. So many times, smoking marijuana, lighting up a cigarette, other types of upper drugs, they release different kinds of chemicals, dopamine, endorphins, feel-good, happiness drugs, or happiness chemicals in your body. And you get kind of addicted to those, not just the drug, but you get addicted to the happiness that your body releases when you're doing those drugs or activities. So let's find alternatives. If you're not into intense exercise, even going for a walk, buy a bike, ride your bike around, just anything that can take your mind away from what you used to do and put it on what you need to do. Engaging in some forms of exercise is often one of the best tips on how to stop addictions. In addition to being a great distraction, like I said before, exercise can help restore healthy brain functioning, reduce stress and tension, improve sleep, minimize cravings, and enhance self-esteem. Stress and tension, I think for me, that was always a big thing that made me want to do, things I didn't want to. And if you're struggling with addiction, you can keep your stress and tension levels lower, then that's going to help you with the triggers and the cravings. Accept the past. It is natural to feel guilty or shameful for your addiction, past behavior, or past actions. As you move forward in your recovery, it is important to deal with these emotions by making amends with yourself and others. After we accept the past, we can provide ourselves with the opportunity for change in the future. So it's completely natural, especially if it was a really bad addiction. If it's something that involved lying or stealing, sneaking out, things like that, it's totally natural to feel bad and feel guilty and think that no one's going to love you anymore, no one's going to care about you anymore because you did this. But if you've truly broken free the addiction, it's not just another scam that some addicts will do, then don't feel bad. Just try to keep moving forward. I hope this information was helpful to somebody. If you'd like to see some more videos, you can look over here. And I'd like to ask you to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more videos, both the ones I've already done and the ones in the future.